Another episode, troublemakers. If you guys don't know who this is, whichever side of the screen split to, this is like Saskatchewan's female troublemaker. Pretty much. Serena.
Hello.
That Bitch podcast. I came across you a long time ago and I was like, she's badass.
Well, thanks.
And then I wanted to podcast and you were like, I'll help you learn how to podcast. I was like, that bitch isn't that bitchy. She's kind of nice.
For the most part. I mean, I have my days, right?
Well, it's true. I mean,
the dogs beside me.
Hey, all the dogs always. I mean, sometimes I listen to yours and I'm like, holy shit. If I said that, I would be like so canceled. But whatever. I mean, props to you for just like throwing it out there.
Yeah, I try to be as raw as I can possible and like just brutally honest because that's just me naturally. So then try to make sure I bring that to my podcast as well. Sometimes can be hard because you're really like opening yourself up to like a lot of criticism, but I haven't found that I was like too criticized yet. I have the odd troll, but like that's kind of it. Nothing too crazy. I mean, I have been called a cunt before, but that was pretty much it.
I mean, I guess my question is like, why did you decide to go podcast? Because I mean, like, you have a normal life. You didn't come into this as like an internet person.
Yeah, I mean, I always loved like the influencer type of stuff and the posting because I love social media, but I always had like crazy weekends and then I'd always tell my sister and brother-in-law all the stories and my sister actually said to me, she's like, you should totally have a podcast. And I said, you know what? I think you're right, but what do I name it? So I had been going like over all these different names I was trying to think of, but I'm like, I'm always called like a bitch. So, I'm like that bitch. And then it's like, you know how always those females are like, I'm always that bitch. It's like, you know what? I am that bitch. So it's like that worked out for the podcast name. The hard part though, is that I can't like promote it in my workspace because it says bitch in the name. But
right.
Otherwise, I'm like, oh, whatever. It's everywhere else. Everybody knows. They know me. They know I've got a podcast. So.
Right. See, like mine was different, right? Like I was doing the Instagram world and like the social media world. And then it was like, what's my next logical step? So like explaining to people, they're like, oh, I understand kind of where you're going or where you came from. It wasn't as random. But yeah, and then I like came across you and it's like, holy shit. She's like Saskatchewan's Howard Stern.
Oh, isn't that nice?
With wine and wing liner. Like, and it's amazing. So I will say, like, I do listen. Sometimes I've got to like, okay, I'll listen to a few more minutes. And then I always listen to like another one and another one.
Yeah. I mean, some episodes are rough. Like, you're like, what the hell do I talk about? You haven't been out for a while. What do I say? What stories do I think of? It's like, oh my God. I have those days too. But then it's like, I finally go out for a while and I have a bunch of stories to tell. Then I got to space it out. Then I'm like,
Right.
You know what? Maybe I'll pick a different topic. Like I had one topic that was pegging. That one actually got a lot of views on YouTube.
Imagine that.
I mean, for a lot of views for me was like 300 or something like that. But that's like not normal because my podcast started off as audio only, not video as well. Literally,
Right.
I had somebody yesterday trying to be a little troll on my YouTube video and was like, LOL, you talk too much. I'm like, what's the point of a podcast? He's like, haha, well, only 10 views. And I was like, well, it started out as audio only. It's not mainly a YouTube, but yeah. So then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm deleting the comment. I'm not dealing with this negativity. Like, really? Who are you to say? I went to his page and I'm like, okay, who is this bitch, right? And no subscribers, had like no videos, just a random ass person. So what if my video had 10 views? It's just an extra thing to have out there. My main platform is audio.
Right.
So it's like, go fuck yourself.
See, mine would have been like, I've only had 10 views, but thank you for increasing my views by 10%.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is like the best lead in to what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about not the world. There's lots in the world. The internet's biggest asshole.
Biggest scumbag.
And like, he's not just a little scumbag. He's like, he even has scumbags like the Paul brothers.
They want to beat his ass. Yeah, they want to beat his ass.
And I mean, they both were the biggest internet scumbags.
Yeah.
So
before, yeah. So not too much anymore, but what they used to be. I find Jake Paul is still like a little too much, but I like Logan. Like Logan Paul's good. He's flipped his whole like life around after that whole Japan thing. So he's changed, but Jake seems still like a crazy guy still, but
wow, I think you have to like maintain that shtick, you know? Like I think once your brand is kind of like
be crazy, you're all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, like nobody wants to see Jackass doing a knitting video. I mean, some people would, but not overall. Okay, so what are your thoughts? Let's get into this. I posted about him reluctantly. And holy shit, like all of these people, we'll call them people.
Yeah.
But like my DM was full of haters.
Instagram?
Oh, yeah. Well, I made an Instagram note.
Oh, a note? Oh my God. It was just a note?
Yeah, it was just like, can anyone tell me why anyone cares about Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
And like so many. Lots were just like the typical, you're a snowflake idiot, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then there was like some harsh ones.
You know, I'm shocked that it like from a note that you just post. Like, I didn't even know anybody really overly sees those. Those randomly came out of nowhere having Instagram notes. And I was like, what the hell is this? So that's kind of shocking, but the amount of hate you got off a note, not like an actual main like photo or video post on a story or your reel or anything.
But this is a thing that I think I've figured out with notes, because I like notes. I like, they're good for me because I mean, I like ruffling feathers a little bit.
Yeah.
And I like, you know, for a little while I was doing them as like fortune cookie quotes. But looking at like the people that were like super triggered, they only had like 100 followers or 200 followers. So it's going to be right there. It's going to be right on the top because guarantee of his people's, because this is the crazy thing. They were all dudes.
Yeah, they are all like dudes. Yeah.
There's not one female that was like, Andrew Tate is like the most genius person on the earth. There wasn't one.
Yeah. So, and I was actually like looking at his Instagram the other night, and there was like a post on his story. It was some female Instagram page that was all loving on Andrew Tate. And it was like, oh, finally a safe space that females can talk about Andrew Tate. But it's like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, those females must be sick in the mind or something, or like he made the account himself or something. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Oh, my other dog is here now. Hi.
I'm pretty partial to my dogs, but you got pretty cool dogs.
You got a lot of foster dogs, don't you?
Foster fails. We don't have any foster puppies right now.
Oh, okay.
We just have permanent residents at the Shell Hotel. Like,
that's okay.
Like when I first saw him, I was like, oh, he's a douchebag. You know, just seeing him. And then like, as you like peel it back, it's like, there's nothing about you that isn't pure douchebag.
Yeah, I agree.
Like even preaching about like to kids about you're only successful if you can pick up Bugattis. If I was Bugatti, I would be like, peace, you, us, nothing.
Yeah, and that's pretty bad. Well, he even admits to scamming all these young guys because they're the most dumb ones there are. And he even says that on every podcast he's on, that they're so stupid. The guys have the highest IQ, but they're so fucking dumb. And that's how he can scam them. They buy this and believe into it, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, you're literally telling all your followers that you're dumb. And you're just taking their money just to take it. And they're not actually learning anything from you. You're just being a total ass.
It's
God.
I've been looking because like I'm into like marketing and that's
Yeah.
my jam. There's crazy like sides of it all,
Okay.
and they actually align a lot with like anti-vax thinking.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a
it
lot
doesn't
of
shock me at
like
all.
in North America, it's like the same sort of demographic. It's like the 20 and younger males
Yeah.
that are like poorer, like low income.
Hmm.
But then it's like the 30 to 40 that are extremely wealthy. And like everyone in the middle is like, that dude's an idiot. But it seems like the two poles, but those are the
Yeah.
same groups that were like, COVID's not real,
Yeah, it's like one extreme to the one side and an extreme to the next. Only ones that like him in the middle, that's like, what the hell? Are the ones that disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you disagree with him, all the ones on both sides come at you. Like I posted a TikTok explaining what this guy had done. I don't like the cancel culture, but this guy was like, he
Right.
needs to be canceled. Like this guy is horrible. There's videos out there of him beating women in a bedroom, like on this bed, and like he grabs her hair, like shoves her down on the bed, like smacks her around, has a golf club, I think, at some point. Like, how is this okay? And it's made the rounds everywhere. But I guess that's why he moved to Romania, so he can get away with all that shit. Plus, he wants to be able to R all those females, which is absolutely disgusting. And then he had that webcam thing that I guess him and his brother had in their basement or something. And I had read that apparently somebody or the girl down there called the cops saying that she was being like kept captive or something. And then
Right.
when they got there, apparently she was outside, but the guy said she was already inside making a pizza or something. So nothing added up. Like it didn't make any sense. Yeah, he
Weird.
was lying out of his ass, clearly. Ugh, it just drives me insane that people believe this guy.
Like I remember hearing about a long time, well, a long time ago, a long time in internet timeline. Like when he got the boot from Big Brother for the video of him beating that lady with a belt.
Yeah, so I never watched Big Brother then. I still don't watch it now, but I read that in the article that he was kicked off there.
So she ended up coming forward, take it as you will, but she came forward, said it was consensual. So maybe, maybe not, who knows? But like there's endless videos of
Mhm.
like his pure misogyny. Like
Uh-huh.
he's it I don't know, it just blows me away. And then to see people like in my town, even like that's what surprised me is like there's people in my town that are like sending me hate
Yeah.
because I just asked why anyone cares. Because yeah, I don't know, it's like it's so unhealthy.
Oh,
And then you see
big
like
time.
little kids and it's like, oh, I'm gonna be like this guy. It's like be anyone but him. Anyone.
Yeah.
Like
Oh my God. And I actually, when I was looking at his Instagram yesterday, oh no, it was TikTok today. Some woman on like in TikTok made a funny video. It was like part 2 of why Andrew Tate's like a piece of shit, basically. And she was reading off one of his Instagram posts and it was like talking about his Bugatti. And it was a one of a kind, only one in this color. It looks like shit brown. Like that's the color this Bugatti looks like. Like it's not a nice looking vehicle. And half the time, these fancy ass vehicles don't even look nice. They just look fucking weird.
mhm.
But he was all like boasting all about it. And I was like, oh my God, this is nothing to be all super crazy and making everybody like, oh, it just makes me insane. Everything, it's like a whole, like, you want to say so much because he's such a piece of shit.
Well, and this is the thing. This is the thing, like with him, I can't remember if it was you and I were talking about it, but it's a weird like position that like you or I would be in because he, like so in his MLM, his hustler group, his MLM,
Yeah.
it's like it's encouraged and there's incentives for his members to share the shit out of his stuff because he makes his money off traffic.
Yeah.
So like if you and I and like we talk about it, we post about it, we shit like that, it gets him more traffic.
I know.
So it's like, if you say nothing, then it's like you're doing nothing. But if you say something, then you're directly
helping him.
Supporting your it's like, it's so fucked. Like, that's it. It's just,
yeah. And he like just randomly rose out of nowhere. Like he wasn't overly talked about or known. And all of a sudden, boom, he's all over the place in like one day, everywhere. I only heard about him because he was on the Barstool Sports BFF podcast, because I watched that one. And then I was like, who the fuck is Andrew Tate? And they were talking because Dave Portnoy like doesn't really like this guy either. So he was challenging him while he was on the podcast. And there'd be like certain things that Dave agreed with that he was saying. And then all of a sudden Andrew did a 360 and I said something totally whack. And then Dave would be like, what the fuck? Like, that's not okay.
That's not okay.
Yeah. So then I'm like, hey, who the fuck's this guy? And then of course I had got to Google. And then all of a sudden he's on all of these podcasts. And I see all these TikToks. It's like, where did this man come from all of a sudden? How did all of a sudden he was like, boom, he's out there. And he just needs to crash really quickly so that nobody has to talk about him.
Well, I saw one, because I mean, I watched some, right? Like I try to limit. But I saw one and it was all about like, it's a news article. It was like, it wasn't him spewing his shit. It was like legitimate news source. But it was basically like his net worth and his companies are actually worthless.
Oh, really?
Well, because it's all generated off of his identity. So his companies, if he was to sell them to me, worthless, because he's not with it. So it was crazy where it was like, how does this, like, it's crooked for sure, but it's not a company that would, like, any of his companies, they would never do anything if he wasn't involved. Yeah. So, I mean, if he cancels, and like, let's hope Instagram, like, for whatever reason, I'm not a censorship person, but let's just be like, yeah, I think he just needs to be censored and canceled. That's it.
Yeah, it's like, I hate cancel culture, but he's the one that actually needs to be canceled.
He's the poster boy for it.
I know so many people don't like need to be canceled, but he literally needs to be canceled and needs to get off all these fucking platforms. He's not even on TikTok, but he's on TikTok because everybody's talking about him. But it's because it brings everybody views. If they already have lots of views, bring in more. Then you get all the haters. Then you're like, oh, I feel like shit. Like, I literally put that video onto private because I couldn't deal with all the guys shitting on me on the goddamn video. And I was literally like, this guy needs to be canceled because this, and this. You want proof? Literally Google his fucking name. Right. It's like, oh, it's out of context. Out of context. How is beating a woman out of context? Okay.
Yeah. I prefer girls that are 18 to 19 because you can train them.
Yeah, like totally.
That's grooming. That's fucking grooming. That's nothing else.
That's literally like the definition of fucking grooming.
There's no context. I'll tell you my funny, because I get a little bit feisty some days. So I had a hater and it was whatever, like it was no different than I get them fairly regularly. Not like when I talk about the convoy. That was a gooder. That'll be a whole other episode. But so I had this one and they like blew up my phone. And I'm like, who is this? I don't know who this person is. Yeah. So they like got shit talking. And when people like blow up your phone with novels? Yeah. And I was like, I was busy. So I wasn't giving it time of the day. And I generally I don't engage. I do and I don't, but I try not to, especially if you're like harsh this. No use. So this person got going. And then let in with well, don't take it personally, but I bet your wife has never been with a real man.
What the fuck? It's like, no offense, but...
you know what? Okay, I'm triggered now. So I messaged my brother. He's like, my little brother is like my life coach. Yeah. Because he's not like me. And he's like, oh, yeah, don't go to town. Don't go rig guy, hood, nothing, just leave it. So the guy kept going. And so I messaged my brother because I did a little bit more research.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude's from Moose Jaw.
Oh, fuck.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you're going to be like an absolute asshole on the internet,
Yeah.
make sure you like
People
don't
can't
have
find you where you live and where you work and like all that kind of
and
stuff.
who your parents are.
Yes.
You know, like be a little bit smarter. So it turns out this person they're trying to become Insta famous.
Okay.
So, and this is like an Andrew Tate thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So they bait people on Instagram.
Yeah.
With bigger followers in hopes that the person will put them on blast.
Yeah. Oh, I think my dog grabbed something. 1 second. What did you take? No, come here. What's in your mouth? I seen her grab something and all of a sudden it disappeared.
There you go.
Okay, resume.
So it turns out this person just like baits people with bigger followers, hoping to be put on blast.
Yeah.
So that they can gain followers. And I'm like, that's dirty. But
it's dirty, but I understand the game. Like I understand how they do that. But then it's like, do you want all the hate from those people? I guess it's like if you truly don't like this person, okay. But like I wouldn't be shit talking some person you actually look up to and they post you, then it's like everybody that also looks up to that person is not gonna come back and shit on you because you did that. So it's like if that person's gonna play that game, they gotta be very careful playing that game.
So I was like, nope, not doing it. I'm not giving you, because I mean, it took a long time for me to get where I was. And
yeah.
So a little bit of internet scrolling, because I mean, it's the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So I just calmly wrote back to them, sorry, I was really busy doing, productive things in life. Reading back over, I apologize for not like getting back to you, but reading over, I just want to say like your parents, and I use their first names.
Mm-hmm.
They must be so proud of you. And no matter what Andrew tells you, your mom probably does love you. And I think that throwing the parents like first names was enough, because then it was crickets. It was like,
like, oh shit,
yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Well, I found out where they worked, and it was like in a food service.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me wanted to be like, I'll just order, and like, let's see if you want to talk this shit in my face.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, I better not.
Don't go too petty.
No, wow, that's it. So I was just like, I'll just, tell you your parents are proud of you and your mom loves you. And yeah, it's been days and they haven't reached out. So weird.
Was this over Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I was like, whatever. Some of them are, I always have like a few people that just like bitch about everything,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of just like a filed, but yeah, this one just kept going, and it was like, okay, now you're going to talk about my wife. And if you lead in with don't take it personally, or this isn't personal, that means it is. That's like, I don't want to sound like a dick, but
that's like, no offense, but don't take it personally,
that's one of my faves.
Yeah.
Don't take it personally, but like I think
you may not want to hear this.
I don't get it. I don't get why people are just like so douchey. I won't lie. I think I told you I've done a reform because I spent years working rigs. So I lived like working oil rigs.
Oh, oil rigs. Okay.
So like the super toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
I was never the extreme, but on the other end, I didn't say no or that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just seeing it, it's like, what the fuck? Like, are we really moving backwards in time?
Honestly, and like, I don't know if you see some of these posts, like you're on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's this one girl, Drew. Her name's Drew. Drew. Her name's Drew. something. I forget what her last name is, but she will literally rip these guys apart when they like talk shit about females and stuff. She goes right after them all the time. And then they kind of try to come back at her. But it's like people will literally comment in people's comments saying, like, Drew, go after this, go after them, go after them. It's because the shit that they're
Right.
saying, it's all about the toxic masculinity. It's literally everything. And they just try to come back at her with the same
Mhm.
shit over and over again. So there are certain females like on these platforms that will come and attack these toxic men. Thank God. But it's really sad to see how society is and how it's changed kind of back to the old ways. And it's like people also don't want to be accepting, and then they don't
Right.
want this, they don't want that. They want the women to be like back in the 70s or whatever, when it's like, oh, the woman was a stay-at-home wife, or she still goes to work and comes back, cooks everything for everybody.
Right.
But then I watched the video the other day and it was like, where did all women go who would come home from work and cook me a good supper or something? But then the guy was like, I was a guy responding to the video, and it was like, well, wouldn't you be tired coming home from work and then having to make a big supper? Well, yeah, but like she should still be doing blah, 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 blah. And it's like, so you can't do it. You don't want to do it, but you want her to do it. She's doing the same thing as you, is working, coming back.
Right.
It's like nobody wants to accept the reality. Oh, it's just so frustrating.
So this is something that I've noticed, because I mean, I watch that shit. Some of it like makes me crazy, ultimately.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's a like, I don't know. It's like, I guess the way the world is right now, unfortunately. So you have like a female personality attacking male toxic masculinity,
Mm-hmm.
and instantly she's like met with force, right?
Yeah.
Like pushback, but a dude says it, people listen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so bizarre. Like when I did my Tate post, there was like so many females that were just like, thanks.
Yeah.
It like takes a dude. And I mean, I try not to be super stereotypical, but I mean, I'm a tattooed
Mm-hmm.
blue collar country boy.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, this is bullshit, like, you know, if this was your sister, do you think this would be cool?
Right.
You know, bro sitting out in the garage drinking beers being like, I smacked the shit out of your sister last night with a belt.
Yeah.
No.
Fuck.
No.
Yeah.
The fuck out of here with that.
Yeah, I don't understand people are accepting this shit. Like,
I think it's like people, I don't know. I think it's like people living in a weird fake, not even fake reality. That sounds too Trumpy. But like they have this dream of what they think,
mm-hmm.
and it exists on the internet.
Yeah, and I don't think it helps that we went through COVID and the lockdown, because the world was just like internet. That's all it was. You couldn't go out, so you would go in on the internet, and people like are stuck in that way because they're just wanting to keep up. Everything is social media, right? That's how a lot of influencers came about during COVID. It's because nobody had anything to do, so they went and just watched other people, and other people judge other people on this platform all the time. And now it's like it. Oh, for this free meeting will end in 10 minutes. Okay. Well, we got 10 more minutes. I think we have to do 20-minute intervals on here on Zoom. Yeah, I don't know how long your things usually are for.
They're however long they decide to be. Okay. We're styling.
What the hell was I saying?
About the influencers during COVID.
Yes.
It came about.
Everybody's judging everybody on there.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. I don't know. It's just like
I'm an old man.
It's just not realistic. And everybody, it's like they want to believe in something they're seeing, but half the stuff on the internet's fake. Mm-hmm. Like Instagram is a curated, usually a picture of what you want somebody to see. TikTok's a little bit more raw and more like funny type of stuff, usually. A lot of dancing. Right. It's like the short content stuff. YouTube, you get a mixture of everything on there. You get from crazy to like normal. But then like I am also so annoyed with Snapchat. People use Snapchat. It's like nowadays, even for dating you or anything, or approaching somebody new. Do you got Snapchat? You got Snapchat. They want Snapchat because the conversations delete after 24 hours or immediately, and they can't get caught seeing more than one person, or if they're cheating on somebody. It's like this day and age is just fucked. And it's very like
Just
sad.
fucked.
It's just fucked. It's sad to see, but it's true. It's
just fucked.
Just fucked.
Nothing else. It's just fucked. I think I get like I hear hilarious things during photo shoots about dating.
Mm-hmm.
I would be the worst single person right now, like in this day and age, because I like forget where I'm going half the time. I could never like keep 17 people on the go. I'd be exhausted.
Well,
I'd be the dummy and be like, I'm so lazy. I'm just gonna have a group chat.
And all of them
if y'all are in it, if you leave, cool. If not, but like that's me. It's just like it sounds so shitty. I mean, I've heard like hilarious things because I think hilarious is like what sticks with me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in this day and age, it's like everything's temporary. Everything is like instant. Commitment.
Yeah.
You know, it's like either we have like no potential and it's just like a hit it and quit it world, or we went on 2 dates, we gel, let's get a puppy. And there's like no middle ground.
Yeah. Yeah, and then my dating life is just like non-existent because when it was sort of existent, it was like you hang out for a bit, you fuck a bit, and then all of a sudden they just stop talking. It's like, well, that was pointless. That was a waste of my time. So it's like I'm 27 now. It's like I don't want to waste my time on fucking pointless shit. It's like if we're both gonna just hook up, you got to be like, okay, this is all it is. This is all that's happening. Nothing else. Cool. But then you get the ones that are like, oh no, I want this, I want that. And then it's like a month, 2 months later. Actually, I told you at the beginning I didn't want anything. It's like, you fucking liar. People are, ugh. Sometimes this generation and day and age just sucks. Ultimately sucks.
I'm trying to think, like Jess and I think Jess and I have known each other for like probably more than 15 years.
Okay.
So she knew me when I was like traveling all the time. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing, like we didn't date until way later, like life kind of just happened. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing with us is she's like, I knew you when you were a tattooed boy in a band touring. There's nothing in your world that would have surprised me more than that. Mm-hmm. So we cool. And it's like, yeah, I definitely, I'm good, you know, because we get asked lots about like what I shoot and the content that I shoot. Mm-hmm. Because it's a little provocative.
Yeah.
And it's always just like, are you fucking kidding? Have you met my husband? Like, I'm cool. I don't care. So, yeah, I always like get a kick out of people's dating in this day and age because it's confusing.
It really is. Yeah. And everybody's fluid or whatever. So it's like, either test the waters. Do you want to be fluid too? I don't even know.
I saw something a little bit ago. It was about titles and people's pronouns. Yeah. Because I try to learn, right? Like that's my thing. I try to learn. Mm-hmm. And it was an interview and the professor was like refusing to use the pronouns that this person had told them. Mm-hmm. Right? The person was like, this is my pronouns. And the professor refused to use them. So the person being interviewed kept referring to the professor as a different name. So like, say the professor's name was like Mark. Mm-hmm. They call him like Jason, Frank. Yeah. And he's like, well, why do you keep calling me my wrong name? I told you. And the person's like, I fucking told you mine too. And you're choosing not to do it. Yeah. I was like,
that's a good one, actually.
I like that one. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, lady, I find the pronouns is sometimes like you have to really think about it. I find like the they them when you're talking about Like, you're so used to thinking of that as plural sometimes, even though
Mm-hmm.
it can be singular. I guess I don't know if that ever changed, if it was always like that. I don't know. But the more that I use it now, when I'm even typing stuff at work, when I'm using they and them instead of describing it as he or she, in case you don't actually know if it's he or she.
Right.
For a while, it was like it was not easy to adjust. It takes a bit, but like after a while, it's like, you know what, fuck it. It's not affecting me personally in any way. If somebody wants to be a they and them, then a he
No,
or a she.
I like it from being a dude
Mm,
who grew up with the first name Wesley.
yeah.
It's pretty sweet now that I don't get like she or Ms. Shell.
Yeah.
I don't look female. Nope. So I mean, I do like that now, where it's not like like business emails, professional emails are just like non-gender.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's learning, but we have to, or
How
else
to
you just
adjust.
snaffle.
Yeah,
That's
adjust and
it.
evolve.
My go-to is adapt or die.
I mean,
That's it.
really, it's kind of that's realistic, right? If you're not going to adapt to what's around you, you're not going to survive in the environment or in the world. Or
No,
you're just going to be that person in like a cave that doesn't talk to anybody and does nothing.
you'll be the guy that's still selling VHS tapes.
Yes. And then soon it'll to be DVDs and CDs. I don't even know how those are still selling because everything is like Bluetooth and streaming.
Yeah. Yeah, my one brother and I talk about that because we're like, do you remember when everyone had like huge video collections?
Mm-hmm.
They're filthy. No matter how much people clean them, they're dirty.
Yeah.
And they took up so much space. But when you went to someone's house and they had like a zillion, you're like, as a kid, you're like,
Oh my
what?
God, what can I find? What can I watch?
And now you're like, you fucking pack rat.
You hoarder.
Yeah, like, you can get all of this just on your phone, right? And more.
Yeah, but then it's like, what
And your times are
happens
changing.
if everything goes down? That was like Rogers that went down, and the whole all of Canada was like fucked for like a day. So this
Not
is
me.
like, I wasn't affected personally because my bank was CIBC, so it didn't affect my bank for some reason.
Right.
But then I'm also Bell, and it didn't affect Bell. But then a
Right.
bunch of like everything else, tons of banks were fucked because they were all through Rogers. But it's weird to think about Rogers has so much business because everybody used to shit on Rogers cell service was horrible. And like you don't hear about people buying Rogers cell phones and you hear Rogers going down.
So this is a tidbit. Rogers has never been good here.
Yeah.
In Ontario and like the bigger centers, it's pretty solid.
So that's like where they're probably getting all their sales from.
Yeah.